Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 15th Planning Commission meeting. Thank you for being here. We'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Munoz, will you please lead us?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we please have roll call?
Alex Velto.
Here.
J.D. Draculich is absent. Peter Gower. Here. Mark Johnson.
Here.
Arthur Munoz.
Here.
Sylvia Villanueva is absent. Kathleen Taylor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 3. Michelle, do we have any public comment?
I did not receive any public comment for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment. Move on to item number 4, approval of the minutes, 4.1, Reno City Planning Commission regular meeting of July 22nd, 2021.
Madam Chair, move to approve. Commissioner Gower.
Okay, we have a motion.
Commissioner Johnson, I'll second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Commissioner Velto, I need to abstain. I was not present at that meeting.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to item 4.2, Reno City Planning Commission regular September 1st meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve those minutes.
Commissioner Velto, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I need to abstain. Anybody else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Great. Moving on to item 5. We're going to move through this really fast because Commissioner Velto did like a 26-minute meeting last time. So we're going to, it's going to be very quick. I have to try and beat him. This is item 5.1, case number LDC 22-00005 Nevada Center 1 rezoning. This is a request for a rezoning from mixed use suburban to industrial commercial. Do we have a presentation from the applicant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. John Compatibility representing the applicant. This is a zone change, as noted by the chair in the introduction, from mixed-use suburban to industrial commercial on a 3-acre site. You see the site is located just south and east of the intersection of Stead Boulevard and North Virginia Street. Kind of that old corridor, elements of what was back in the day, the TOD. I think there's kind of 3 things going on in my analysis. One is hearing from the brokerage community and this particular developer, all of the interest in the industrial realm of uses. It's noted in the staff report where we kind of changed the character of uses. I'm talking about flex industrial, outdoor storage, indoor storage, mini storage, and those employment and industrial logistics types of uses. Of course, some are dependent on size of the site. The other, I think, is that staff has pointed out compatibility with the IC set of uses. This gives you a good idea of what's going on around the property. Moves away from residential and commercial with this particular zoning designation. There's the MS. You can see there's a good mix of MS around it, and more predominantly IC zoning, and then I to the south across Virginia Street. There's proposed as we're doing. And then the other thing I think that's key to this in staff analysis was that the Reno master plan specifically calls out compliance with the industrial zone given the proposed IC zone and not the same compliance in the Reno master plan. There are 3 designations I've noted in the staff report. One is the IC, one is I, and the other one is PUD for compliance. So there's a bit of an updating part of the zoning to compliance with the master plan. That's all I have. I'm here for any questions the commission might have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Brooke, do you have a presentation?
Good evening, Planning Commission. Brooke Oswald, Associate Planner for the record. Just to go reiterate what the applicant's representative stated really quick, it's a 3-acre site. We are going from that mixed-use suburban to the industrial commercial. Looking at that mixed-use suburban, the prior to our recent Title 18 code update, that was zoned North Virginia Transit Corridor. That zoning went away as we consolidated those mixed-use zonings, and we came up with, and the most close was that mixed-use suburban on that. As was briefly stated, that mixed-use suburban does allow for residential development, as where the IC does not. Key issues we looked at is that compatibility with the master plan and that compatibility with the surrounding zoning districts and uses. As is known, and several projects have been before this commission, that area has largely warehouse and distribution. Directly behind this site, we saw the Amazon warehouse going in, and across the street, we've seen a number of industrial developments. Just looking really quick, looking at the master plan, that entire block is zoned industrial. That came through that Reimagine Reno and that in that process. That SMU, the suburban mixed use, is not conforming under that industrial master plan use where the IC is. And as we're going through that Title 18 update, we are reconciling those discrepancies between our master plan and our zoning codes. We would anticipate as we move forward that these will all move to a conforming zoning district under that I. This just really shows that comparability to the surroundings and as we're seeing the request for that zone change. The area is located along that corridor. We are seeing more large truck traffic. RTC does have plans to eventually widen and do improvements on that roadway, and we have the overall utilities and infrastructure in place to support industrial or lighter industrial uses. So with that, staff can make all the applicable findings and recommends the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of this zoning amendment. Thank you. I'm available for questions as needed.
Thank you, Brooke. Commissioners, let's do disclosures. Commissioner Gower.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no disclosures.
Commissioner Munoz.
Commissioner Munoz, no disclosures. I'm familiar with the site other than that.
Commissioner Velto, no disclosures.
Commissioner Johnson, no disclosures.
Commissioner Taylor, no disclosures. Michelle, do we have any public comment for this item?
I did not receive any public comment for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the commission for questions of either the applicant or Brooke. Questions? Discussion? Motion.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion. Case of LDC 22-00005, Nevada Center 1 rezoning based upon compliance with the applicable findings. I move to recommend that City Council approve the zoning map amendment by ordinance, and I can make all the findings.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Munoz, sorry.
Go ahead.
Mike, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 5.2, this is a recommendation to City Council, case number LDC 22-00006, Nevada Center 2 rezoning. This is a request for a rezoning from mixed-use suburban to industrial commercial. Deja vu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John Krompatik, for the record, representing the applicant. I'll be even more brief here. This is 4.94 acre across, basically a couple hundred feet and across the street from the other site. Almost identical set of circumstances. There are slightly different change in surroundings. You can see the IC to the west and a band of IC, but it's, you know, the blend and MS and IC in the area. Same issues with compliance with the master plan and such. So I will not go into any more detail. Leave it for any questions the commission might have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Brooke?
Brooke Oswald, Associate Planner for the record. Go over it one more time. It's approximately a 5-acre site. Once again, this is that mixed use that came through that North Virginia Transit Corridor in our code update. They are proposing to amend the zoning to an industrial commercial. We are once again looking at the compatibility with that master plan, the compatibility with the surrounding zoning districts and uses. Very similar to the site we just previously saw. This does have an master plan land use designation of industrial that came through the Reimagine Reno master plan. To the west of the project, we do have an SPA. That SPA is that Reno-Stead Joint Corridor Plan. That corridor plan has been sunsetted by both Washoe County and the Truckee Meadow Regional. We'd anticipate that the city is moving forward to sunset that also. That underlying zoning that was shown in the previous presentation is industrial commercial. We would anticipate that that would go to an industrial master plan land use designation. This is, once again, that streamlining of that process to bring these parcels and up to the current zoning and be in conformance with the master plan. Just showing the side-by-side as we see that amendment happen. All services are in close proximity to this. And with that, staff does recommend that this commission recommend approval to the city council. And I am available for questions as needed. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke. Commissioners, let's do disclosures, and we'll start with Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Johnson, no disclosures.
Commissioner Velto, no disclosures.
Commissioner Munoz, no disclosures.
Commissioner Gower, no disclosures.
Commissioner Taylor, no disclosures. Michelle, do we have any public comment for this item?
I did not receive any public comment for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the commission for questions of either the applicant or Brooke. Or discussion? Or a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion, Commissioner Munoz. Based on compliance with the applicable findings, I move to recommend that City Council approve zoning map amendment and ordinance, and I can make all the findings.
Commissioner Gower, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I'm giving you a run for your money, Commissioner Velto. Okay, moving on to item 5.3. This is case number LDC 22-00003 Trinity Auto Wash. This is a request for a special use permit and for non-residential development within 300 feet. Do we have a presentation from the applicant?
Yes, we do. For the record, Jason Gillis, Tech Engineering, representing the applicant. The special use is a full-service or self-service car wash located NC commercial zoning, Cold Springs. So it's along Sandpiper Drive, various other commercial entities in the area, 7-Eleven, Dollar General, manufacturing to the east. Right now, the site consists of undeveloped sagebrush, roadway to the north, the Lake Playa to the south. Here's another look along the roadway. Again, as I talked, it's in what we consider the commercial center for Cold Springs. Here's a picture of the site. As you can see, the car wash is located in the center of the building. Access, shared common access, we anticipate there'll be additional uses on the remainder property in the future. One thing that has been of interest is the vacuum stations. They were located on the south side of the property. A little noise reduction with the building blocking the landscaping and as far away from the residential that's across White Lake Parkway. One main full movement access to the west there, and then a right in, right out to the east. Various building elevations. It's what you would expect with a car wash. So a few items, again, industrial to the east, commercial to the north, commercial west and south, future commercial west and south. self-service car wash, automated bays, pet wash, vacuums, water recycling. Again, residential uses are to the north, on the other side of the roadway and the commercial center. We're out of the floodplain. We're dealing with all the closed basin drainage standards. And I'm available for questions. Nate, where'd you go? Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Nate, do you have a presentation?
I sure do. Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Nathan Gilbert, Associate Planner. So as Jason mentioned, this is a 1.2 acre site of a greater 40 acre parcel off White Lake Parkway. The special use permit, I should clarify, this application is being requested under the old code. So it's a special use permit to establish a car wash land use in the neighborhood commercial zone and allow for non-residential development within 300 feet of residential zoning. That would typically require a site plan review, but because this also has a special use permit, they're being heard together by the Planning Commission. The master plan designation is suburban mixed use. Key issues in staff analysis included site design and overall land use compatibility. The building itself is about 4,800 square feet for a car wash facility. It also includes that dog wash component in various sizes. 2 of the bays would be used for automated washes and the remainder for manual self-service car wash. 20% of the site is landscaped, and there's a 30 to 50-foot landscape buffer along White Lake Parkway. The site location is outside of a flood hazard area and will incorporate the required 1 to 3 volumetric stormwater retention mitigations for the North Valleys. We did receive comments from RPD just with some general concerns related to unmanned pay stations when an on-site employee would not be in effect, and the applicant had already planned on incorporating what was ultimately condition number 8, which recommends on-site security cameras with motion detection to keep an eye on the site 24 hours a day. Overall compatibility, the site is adjacent to industrial land uses to the east, and various commercial and civic uses to the north. The nearest residential, everything north of White Lake Parkway is in unincorporated Washoe County. The nearest residential is 200 feet to the northeast. A sound study was completed and demonstrated compliance with both AM and PM noise standards. Condition number 5 and 6 are recommended to enhance overall compatibility, and they include standards for dark sky lighting and limited construction hours while it's being built. Staff recommends approval of the special use permits based on compliance with the applicable findings and subject to the conditions listed in the staff report, and staff is available for any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Commissioners, let's have disclosures. Commissioner Gower.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No disclosures.
Commissioner Munoz?
No disclosures.
Commissioner Valto, no disclosures.
Commissioner Johnson, no disclosures.
Commissioner Taylor, no disclosures. Michelle, do we have any public comment for this item?
I did not receive any public comment for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment then and bring it back to the commission for questions of the applicant or of Nathan. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question, Nathan. Just, I read through it and I just wanted to verify there's no request for 24-hour operation as a part of this special use permit. They're subject to the standard operating hours allowed by the site and the business license.
That's correct. Yeah, the initial application did include a request for 24-hour operations. With our initial neighborhood outreach, when we receive applications, we send notice to area residents about a pending project. We did receive some feedback. Petition was included in your staff report. They were posted 24 hours, and the applicant removed that request. That's not a part of this request before you. It would be standard business operating hours.
Okay. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Munoz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if this is going to be for staff or for the applicant, but what is the elevation for the parking lot as opposed to the lake? 'Cause I know the vicinity there is pretty close.
For the record, Jason Gillis, Tech Engineering. So the elevation of the parking lot above the lake, I'm going to guesstimate we're looking at 4 or 5 feet. We are out of the A flood zone, so we're well away from the historic limits of the lake edge.
Thank you. And then do you know, if you could stay one more second, do you know if the flooding of 2 or 3 years ago affected that area specifically, or was that still above water there?
That area was still above water. The area that historically floods coincides with that edge of the sagebrush. So, once in a while you'll get water up in the sagebrush, but that's intermittent, and we are way above that mark.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, other questions?
Madam Chair, I
Commissioner
have a
Bauer?
question for staff. Nathan, on the site plan, I guess it's the landscape plan, there's a depiction of vegetation on the roadside between the proposed facility and the residential uses. What mechanisms does the city have to ensure that that vegetation is installed to provide that screening and potential noise buffer between the facility and the residences?
That's a required landscape strip. They've gone above and beyond code requirements. Condition number 1 would be that application materials are consistent with what's reviewed by the Planning Commission.
Excellent, thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Discussion, commissioners? Okay, I don't see any. Motion? Commissioner Munoz?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm willing to make a motion, only if they promise to put one of these in Linden Valley, because they really need one over there. Based upon compliance with the applicable findings, I move to approve the SUP, subject conditions listed in the staff report, and I can make the findings.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Johnson, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Good luck with your project. Okay, that moves us to item 5.4. This is case number LDC 22-00004, Tumwa US 40 water tank. This is a request for a conditional use permit to establish a major utility and allow for grading with cuts deeper than 20 feet and fills greater than 10 feet in height. Do we have a presentation from the applicant?
You do. Good evening. Sorry, I'm going to blow your timeline. Michael Pliny on behalf of the applicant, Toll North Reno. This application seeks a conditional use permit for development of a Tumwa concrete water tank with a 1.5 million gallon capacity and associated private access road and improvements. The CUP review is triggered because it's the establishment of a major utility and because of the cuts and fills associated with the project. Project is located on approximately 3.7 acres of a larger 72-acre site between Interstate 80 and Somerset Parkway in West Reno. The site is in the sphere of influence and has no zoning in Reno, but is zoned UT 40 in the county, and has a master plan designation of UT. The project does conform with the master plan land use designation. This is a good overview of the project. You can see the access road starting at the bottom of the screen in red up to the tank site. You'll also note there is an existing water tank immediately to the north. That's the Northgate tank that's in existence today. A little bit of background on the water facilities and the history. Tumwa's Water Resource Plan has contemplated the future expansion of their surface water distribution system to Verdi for several years. This is in order to ensure a reliable water service and to protect the viability of the groundwater resources by allowing conjunctive use management of surface and groundwater resources in Verdi. Tumwa's Water Resource Plan recognizes that in order to provide full service to the Verdi area, roughly $17 million of backbone improvements are required, including storage tanks such as this one and various water mains. With Tumwa's acquisition of the West Reno system in 2019 and increasing demands from new development in the Verdi area, this application is the next step in moving forward with those backbone improvements in order to improve water service in the Verdi area. It's also worth noting that Tumwa's CIP recognizes this US 40 water tank project as a project in their CIP, stating it will, quote, improve the reliability and hydraulic performance in the zone, which experiences a lot of surge issues due to cycling of the Mayan pump station and the closed system on the Mogul end. I would note that this project is exempt from Western Regional Water Conformance Review, as it is a facility that is both contemplated by the Comprehensive Regional Water Plan and is of such a kind or size as related to normal utility service. Turning to the project design, the tank and access road will be constructed to Tumwa design standards. Tumwa will operate the tank once constructed, and again, it will serve their Verdi Area 7. In response to one of the public comments received, Tumwa requires that growth pay for growth, so this tank would be funded through fees imposed on new development. Visibility was an important issue for the applicant. The tank is 26 feet tall, but in order to mitigate visual impacts, it will be partially buried with only about 8 feet being visible above the ground. The tank and fencing will have an exterior earth tone color that matches the nearby Northgate tank seen at the top of the picture here, and the surrounding area. Landscaping will be limited to site revegetation consistent with surrounding aesthetics and code standards. This is a visual depiction of what the site would look like from Burks Boulevard, which is the residential area to the east. As conditioned, the project is compatible with the surrounding MF14, UT40, and large lot uses. The proposed site location and the partially buried design minimize visual impacts, and it's generally shielded by the topography of the area. This is a visual depiction of what it would look like from Interstate 80. As you can see, that the tank site itself is almost imperceptible from the interstate. The tank you see to the north is the existing Northgate tank. The site is not anticipated to be visible from the Somerset development, and again, it was designed to minimize those visual impacts. This is a depiction of what it would look like from Somerset looking towards the tank. We would note that NDOW has noted the site has limited quality habitat for wildlife, and they had no issues and no comments on the project. As I said, cuts and fills will be required in order to bury the tank to achieve those visual improvements. There will be some fills shown in green on the tank site and cuts in yellow. And then 3 limited areas will require some fills along the access road as shown in this picture. Traffic will be limited to that required for construction and maintenance of the tank site, so it'll be nominal. And there will be a gate there along Doretta Lane. There will be an aggregate-based surface road which will satisfy Tumwa's standards in order to access the tank, and the project does not trigger any public improvements. As recognized by staff, the proposal is compatible with the surrounding land uses, substantially conforms with the master plan, and facilitates the development of a much-needed water system improvement which will provide regional benefits in furtherance of public health and welfare. We would respectfully submit that all of the findings can be made. And with that, I am available, as well as Chris Baker from Manhard, to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Nathan, do you have a presentation?
Hello again, Nathan Gilbert for the record. The subject site size is approximately 3.71 acres. It's including the roadway network of a larger 57-acre parcel. Ultimately, the subject site would be parceled out to be serving only the water tank site. The conditional use permit is requested to establish a major utility, the Tumwa water tank, and to enable grading with cuts greater than 20 feet and fills greater than 10. The site zoning would be unincorporated transition, UT40, through translation. It is in the sphere of influence, but it is not in the city's incorporated city limits. And then there's the access road traverses a parcel that's zoned MF14. Key issues in staff analysis included site design, site grading, and overall site compatibility. Again, this is a 1.5 million gallon concrete water tank with the associated access road. There's gated access from Doretta Lane that we Tumwa owned and maintained with service for Area 7 in the greater Verdi area. A site design, it's a 26-foot tall buried tank with approximately 8 feet above ground. There are two options proposed with the application. Both maintain the 4,927-foot elevation at 8 feet above fill. Option B would be buried 6 feet deeper. The site would include standard TUMWA 8-foot security fencing along new parcel lines, and condition number 5 requires matching earth tone colors for both tank and fencing. Site grading, there's proposed 24-foot cuts to partially bury the tank, 21 feet maximum fill to minimize visual impacts of the tank, and there are 3 areas of limited fills greater than 10 feet along the access road. Overall site grading includes 2-to-1 slopes with site revegetation to regain the natural aesthetic. Compatibility, overall, the tank is buried to minimize visual impacts from both I-80 and the Mesa Park subdivision. Site topography minimizes visual impacts from Somerset. We did receive a comment from a Somerset resident. If you've been to the site, you can see the ridge line that would clearly obscure the view from the subdivision. A little tough to see at this scale, but the applicant, as Michael showed, did provide some photo simulations on the overall site, illustrating generally minimized visual impact from key vantage points from Interstate 80, the Mesa Park subdivision, and along Somerset Parkway. With that, staff recommends approval of the conditional use permits based on compliance with the applicable findings and subject to the conditions listed in the staff report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Commissioners, disclosures, please, with Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I spoke with the applicant's representative.
Commissioner Velto, no disclosures.
Commissioner Munoz?
Commissioner Munoz, I spoke with the applicant's representative.
Commissioner Gower, same disclosure.
Commissioner Taylor, no disclosures. Michelle, it looks like I have one comment for public comment, one request to speak form.
Yes, we do have a request to speak form, but we also received a public comment form electronically that was sent to the Planning Commission and was recorded as part of the record.
Okay. Ken McNeil. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record.
Sure. My name is Ken McNeil, and I've got a question that maybe you don't really deal with that much, but it's who's going to pay for this? TUMWA has a saying, development pays for development, and we heard tonight that this was part of, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the $7.5 million improvements needed for the Verdi area for the water system for future development. So if that's the case, I would like to know if the developers are going to be paying for this reservoir, or is it going to be existing customers of TUMWA, including the city of Reno? I asked this question at the NAB meeting, and I got a confusing answer. The applicant seemed to indicate the majority of the cost would be paid by developers, and then it seemed like TUMWA gave a different answer that possibly that was not going to be the case. So I think if this is part of the $17.5 million backbone water line improvement that needs to be made, that developers should be paying this expense for this reservoir. And I would like to have some kind of confirmation tonight as to who is going to be responsible for the expense of this water tank. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the commissioners for questions of either the applicant or of Nathan. Mr. Felto.
Yes, thank you. My question is for the applicant. Thank you, Mike. I have 2 questions. I guess they're kind of awesome together. How will this be paid for, the water tank? And do you think that falls under any of the necessary findings for either conditional use permit or general approval criteria?
The answer to your second question is no. I don't think it's relevant to your findings today, but my understanding on the first question is that this would be funded through development fees collected in Area 7. As part of the development fees, new development would pay for it. I can't speak for Tumwa, that's just my understanding.
Mike, I can answer that question.
Oh, good, thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Yeah, for the record, Kelly McGlynn, Principal Engineer for Truckee Meadows Water Authority. And specifically, the cost of the tank would be 67% paid for by new growth in Area Fee 7 and Area Fee 3, which are in the Verdi West Reno area. And then 33% would be paid for by existing Tumwa customers because this tank has been identified in Tumwa's capital improvement plan and does offer backup to existing areas and also hydraulically helps to streamline pumping into existing areas.
Thank you. And then Nathan, do you have an opinion as to whether how it is paid for falls under any of the findings we have to make tonight?
Staff does not find a link between the findings and that item.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gower.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the applicant on the access design. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Can you explain the requirement for the new access road alignment versus using, it looks like there's an existing road of some sort there, and then there's also the access from Somerset Parkway down to the existing tank. Can you just talk me through the logic of the requirement for the new road?
Absolutely. Chris Baker, Manhart Consulting here on behalf of the applicant. So that actually was something we kicked around initially. There is the existing tank and an existing water line that does tie down into Burks Road. The issue is the water line doesn't have enough coverage, and the roadway would not, if we were to put a new roadway over that water line, it would not meet the today's standards. As I understand, that tank was inherited by Tumwa and was not designed, and the water line was not designed in accordance with their current standards. So we had looked at that to try and parallel the water line, put the new road right over the top, but it wouldn't meet the grade requirements that are currently in place.
Can I just have Tumwa, Madam Chair, just kind of validate that from their perspective, that you looked at this, and that's your case, is your perspective as well from an engineering standpoint, that that access road, it's not feasible to use the existing road, and I'm thinking about, potential impacts of disturbance related to the new road.
Again, for the record, Kelly McGlynn, Principal Design Engineer with Truckee Meadows Water Authority. We have had some discussions regarding the access road. We have yet to have a plan fully submitted for review. I know there were grade issues on that existing access, but it has not been fully evaluated by Tumwa with a submitted plan.
And just to clarify, when you're looking at a facility like this, you're also interested in the access, right? Not just the water pipes and tank, right?
Correct. The access is part of the improvement that we are looking at to this. And typically, the water main will follow the access roadway, and there are grade requirements for that, so you're able to access in the winter during icy and snowy conditions, and then also be able to get into access the water main in the event of a leak.
And from your perspective, the new access road that's being proposed is the preferred approach, preferred access method to access the tank?
I would like to evaluate the submitted plan before I would make that determination.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioners, other questions? I have a quick question, either Nathan or the applicant. So the cost associated with this isn't really something for this commission to be looking at, but I was wondering if either of you knew where the folks that came here tonight that have questions about that, where we should direct them if they have questions or concerns.
Michael Pondy for the record. I would suggest they contact Tumwa, since they're the ones that determine how they're going to pay for the tank and recover the costs.
Okay, so I hope you guys heard that. If you have questions, concerns regarding the cost of this, work with Tumwa, please. Other questions, commissioners? Discussion? Motion? Commissioner Velto?
In the matter of case number LDC 220004, based upon compliance with the applicable findings, I move to approve the conditional use permit subject to the conditions listed in the staff report, and I can make all of the findings.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Munoz, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Madam Chair, you didn't ask for discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Gower.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say that I was a little bit concerned with the conversation that was had regarding the access road and sort of the lack of final vote of confidence from Tumwa. Having said that, I do recognize that Tumwa has a pretty well-established set of standards for their facilities. So based on that, I do feel comfortable that what is ultimately approved in terms of the access to the tank will meet not only the City of Reno requirements, but also Tumwa's as well. So I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies for not asking for discussion. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. And when it gets down to agenda items per minute, I think I got you beat. Okay, good. I'm a little competitive. Moving on to item number 6, Truckee Meadows Regional Planning Liaison Report.
Madam Chair, we haven't had a meeting since the last, city meeting. We have meeting next Thursday.
Okay, item number 7, staff announcements.
Good evening. For the record, Arlo Stockham, Community Development Director. Couple quick updates. It looks like we'll not be able to have a quorum for the October 6th meeting. So the next meeting will be October 20th. We have a pretty full agenda for that meeting. Training opportunities. Some of you may have seen the Nevada American Planning Association Conference is scheduled October 18th through 20th. Registration's open, so let us know if any of you would like to attend that. City Council, their meeting on the 8th was really a light meeting. There were no public hearings. Final adoption of the zone change ordinances for the Moya Industrial and 3690 Warren Way applications were both approved. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Arlo. I don't know if this was at the last meeting, but I noticed that there is a presence here of security. We appreciate you very much. Thank you for being here. Item number 8, Commissioner's suggestions for future agenda items. Commissioner Johnson.
Actually, I missed it before Brooke had left, but I'll mention it to Arlo. It's not so much a suggestion, but I did appreciate in the zone change staff report, there was a summary, rather than just providing the list of uses straight out of the code, there was a summary provided for what the major changes in allowable uses were, and I definitely appreciated that. I would suggest that perhaps we still consider including the list, just because some of us, enjoy falling asleep to reading planning commission memos. But I did want to get that on the record, that I appreciated the way that was set up for the zone change, for us to quickly see what the uses are that would be affected by that, as well as the development standards with respect to heights and setbacks and that. So I appreciated that in both of those items.
We'll share that at our planning meeting tomorrow and try to use that same approach for future staff reports. Thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Michelle, do we have any public comment? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Munoz.
Sorry, I just want to put on the record, we had our first Little League baseball game at the new Mayor's Park up there. The park was phenomenal. We had a 9/11 little tribute moment for the thing, and I just want to thank the city and all the work they did up there, and we are very proud to be hosting softball or baseball games up there now, so.
Okay, Michelle, do we have any public comment? General public comment.
I
Bless you.
believe we do have.
Okay, come on up, Ken, or Mr. McNeil, whenever you have a chance.
Well, this is Ken McNeil. I just wanted to tell you that I talked with the Tumwall representatives, and I asked them, how are you going to figure out how the developers are going to pay for whatever portion of this water tank, and who's going to pay what? They didn't know. They said I would have to talk to the folks at Tumwall, but the representatives that were here tonight did not know. That concerns me, that we have something, this is important, and we're talking about tremendous improvements for the Verdi area. And if this aspect of the development is, they really don't have all the answers. What's going to happen with the rest of the improvements that need to be made, and how are they going to be paid for? I'm going to follow up with Tumwa and see if I can get some answers. But as of tonight, they don't know which developers are going to be responsible for paying for a certain percentage of that tank and who they are. And I just think, for me, that's unacceptable. I will follow up and see what happens. But that's really disturbing to me. I just want to let you know. I just want to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. Do we have any other public comment?
No, I did not receive any other public comment.
Anybody else would like to make public comment in the audience? Okay. We'll close public comment and move on to item number 10, adjournment.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right.